The grand finals of last weekend's Halo World Championship was definitely a series to remember. From C9's explosive opening to reset the bracket, and then a legendary regain out of OpTic to flip the momentum before winning the thing in hilarious fashion. They stood up to celebrate, and the game hadn't ended yet.
And now the journey is complete. OpTic Gaming, the green wall, stands tallest. As with just a few moments left.
Wait a second, you're
Wait
one
a second.
APG's headset was off. The game isn't over yet.
There's no way.
Somehow Cloud9, now we can say it. Oh my God.
Definitely some good storylines in this series, but today we're going to focus on Bound. In his first year on LAN, Bound's lowest placing in tournament was 8th. He ended the series in 2nd. In that first series of grand finals, he was the center of attention. What does it take to pull something like this off? Of course, I can't answer that question, especially not with one video, but what I can do is break down his gameplay. If the length of this video is any indication, we're covering a lot today. Not just Bound's individual gameplay, but C9 as a team. How they play together, how they pace around each other and communicate with each other. There's a lot that goes into being a top player, so there's a lot that I try to touch on in this video. It's a straightforward setup. You can follow along in the play bar. I go gameplay, breakdown. We're looking at all 4 of their wins in the first series. We got some work to do. Let's get into it. If you guys like this stuff, make sure to hit sub. Join me on the way.
Go with a double kill, and just as it looks like FaZe might have an opportunity to tie things up, the game turns on its head once more. C9 with a clutch return.
C9 fans there, you might have heard all the way on the other side of the venue at the feature station, they like the sound of that return. They also like the sound of this run here, already halfway across the map.
Bound moving this all the way through despite meeting so many shots, and that numbers advantage is huge. Renegade and Sparty, the only ones left. In fact, if they charge and desperate this too much, they're going to give up their lives and stagger their spawns.
Okay, so this is semis and not grands, but just figured I'd break the ice with this clean flag run at a Bound. Now, smart decision-making here to start. You can see 2 are dead on FaZe. Sparty just died on Grapple side. Bound recognizes he's got numbers on Grapple, so he brings the flag to his teammates, lets the enemy spawn on the opposite side, gives him more safety for the run. Great use of tech here as well. He'll perfectly time his flag toss before leaving the ledge, sprint off, time crouch for a boost, and then catch the flag by holding the pickup button. So he's combining the curb slide and the juggle at the same time. You don't need to do this. You can sprint off while holding the flag and just time crouch and boost. But if you want the farthest possible launch, you got to do it this way, like Bound is doing, perfectly timing the toss of the flag right before he comes off the edge, so he's got space to catch it as he hits the slide, gets a bigger boost. And you can do this all over the map, by the way. There's so many different creative ways you can apply this tech, and something I highly recommend you practice so you can get these quick runs just like Bound. And keep in mind the long slides that he does also. He slides while looking up to toss the flag as far as possible, and holding out that slide makes him a tough target, on top of strong siding, looking down at the very end, tuck his head in, make it very difficult to land a headshot. So just everything, near flawlessly executed. And I say near flawless, and if anybody can pull this off, it's Bound, because I think there's one thing that he could have done to speed this up even more. I don't see players go for this. What he could have done was toss the flag out to the wall here, and then jumped and landed on the edge of this ledge and lined up a curb slide off the edge, but turned it. You can kind of drop off and turn it to the left, even though you're dropping off the right side. It takes some precision to pull this off, but if he hits a kind of a frame-perfect version of this, he can launch himself down the hallway and grab the flag, move even faster. It's risky, but if anyone can do it, Bound can.
They get upset there. We are now into game number 2 here. Slayer on streets. OpTic Gaming leads 1-0.
All eyes on Bound as well. This man is going to go forward, and he's going to be running at you, and already the speed at which...
Nice little opening strat here from Bound to maybe take notes on. He'll sprint, jump, hold crouch in the air to set up a slide. C9 actually shoots the spike nades out in advance, which is interesting. Maybe they're anticipating somebody getting an angle, say from Cafe, and shooting the spikes and damaging them. So just gets them out of the way. He's holding crouch in the air, lands and slide, jumps, tosses a nade out to Cafe. He'll go straight to ATM, not wasting any time. He'll check his corners as he sprints through, gets a back smack, ends up dying here as well. Ultimately, OpTic do win this opening strat. They get the rockets, and C9 addresses it by backing off, playing it slow. Things change, though, with the second rocket launcher.
Let's get ready for an Astro listening here on the side of Cloud9.
Dead in 1, MPD1.
2 top tower. 2 there. Live Back PD. One shot PD. Spawn. I'm looking P tree.
Look at over here. Can only be one there.
He's
Benches one shot, APG.
Here's the rocket.
Benches one shot, I got C stairs.
Okay, we're looking at it.
Benches dead. Watch out,
Trash.
Driveway weak, formal.
One shot back at me. Trash at me.
Driveway weak. Derail, two there.
Okay, I'm pushing this guy.
Yeah, I'm looking at his hand.
He dropped.
One does.
Driveway somewhere.
Keep living.
B-rail still.
Keep playing together. Play tight.
Yeah. I'm looking driveway.
They ran away.
Okay.
Yeah, I've stuck.
No, in tires, Kevin.
Yeah, I know.
Arcade and tires on me. Arcade, get ahead. Tires still.
Arcade weak.
Pushing arcade out. Watch out, arcade.
I'm one, Brandon. I have to live.
Duck arcade, so one shot.
One shot. But no, nice.
Nice shot.
Two tires. I shot this one.
Dead end, I'm one shot. Down. Dead end, arcade, I think. Shotgun down B stairs. They're pushing B. They're trying to push into B.
We can be towards that.
I'm going behind you, Gun.
There's a guy C stairs, Kevin.
One shot front C. I think they're both on the right. I'm coming in.
One shot red room with thrust.
He didn't die, bro.
There's so much you can learn about teamwork, communication, and spawn control just from listen-ins like this with C9. First, just their positioning on the map. They got a great perimeter as they push up on A here. You got Penguin mid-map, Bound on the left side, Eco and Stellar on the right. Pushing up like this is an excellent way to pinch OpTic. Though Penguin dies, Bound is already overextending through Cafe, gets the kill on Trippy while they're distracted, applies pressure, and does it without overcommitting himself. He backs out while Stellar fills in mid-map to grab rockets, and they're very quick to do this. He gets the kill on Formal. He's now pushing up on PD to kill Lucid with Eco, and while that's happening, Penguin and Bound are already thinking about spawners. You can hear it in the comms. They know they flipped the map. They know that APG is first up and he's spawning in Subway, and Bound is already shooting at him, and Penguin is already rotating over to Rail to get a high vantage point and a perimeter, get it started essentially early on. So they're all spawning up in C, Stellar creating the right side of the perimeter. So you can see how quick C9 unify and kind of create that pinch and apply pressure in these spawners. They're pushing up in a 2-2 right now. You got Penguin and Eco working together. Stellar and Bound flying up on the right side of C here to suffocate Trippy. They get the kill. OpTic in an attempt to escape. They'll go up through driveway. Formal and Lucid manage to get away and try to stay alive here. And just look at how they listen to each other while they apply pressure to stay alive and to keep an advantage in the fight. Stellar pushes up the driveway, but recognizes that Penguin dies, and he's very quick to back up, very quick to rejoin the team. If you listen to the comms here, they say play tight, play together, right? Just knowing their situation very well, knowing they got the weapons here too. Bound as a stalker, Eco as a shotty, so they take a second to regroup and then push up and hold angles together at the same time. And this is so important. You got Eco sneaking up the staircase right now, waiting for an opportunity to play off of Stellar and Bound's angles and an aggro to get involved and get a free kill with the shotgun. So it's just about working around each other's angles and timing that push perfectly and having the communication to do that, to play off each other. Penguin off a spawn. Look at the position he takes on the stairs. He's tossing nades into B to provide support as they all push up and apply pressure together. So this is just so well timed and well executed, and something that top teams do here. Eco unfortunately dies. I think if Eco was to sprint slide super quickly in strong side, he might have lived, but either way, probably still dead. Bound right now backing down. I think he whiffs the nade here. He'll throw a bank nade. I think his intention was to send it into the corner where Lucid is. Had he hit that, it would have been perfect. But you got to just pay attention to how quick he is to survey and get information without fully revealing himself. He'll poke out the left-hand side, see APG, come back, shoot into Trippy, immediately sprint slide out to avoid the nade. But remember APG's location. He's so quick to shoot him. And then even as he jumps back and he's got his reticle placed in case APG challenges, he doesn't forget about the location of his opponents. You can see how confidently he turns to address the players on the right-hand side and still find himself a kill, right? So just having that presence of mind to know where that other player is and to know the type of movement on the right stick, the confident, decisive movement, you need to address it quickly and make sure you're still accurate. Just everything about that sequence between the whole team, so expertly done. In the end, though, OpTic do find a way to break out.
It might not just be one kill, it could be two if he can find his targets. Lucid changes to the barrel rifle smartly to make sure that rocket is still in his hands. This one will connect. It's Bound time!
Probably the biggest statement Bound made in this game. He picks up rockets, takes it to B rail, a well-timed sprint slide. He gets a fast rotate, doesn't fully commit to center, goes for the perimeter here, finds Lucid one shot, cleans him up with BR. The use of the rocket here, this had to have been just off of comms. Just he just goes for it, right? He can't see either of these players. I don't know if he was shooting for Trippy or shooting for Formal, if he just heard the call and just kind of YOLO'd it, and that's just testament to his kind of high risk, high reward play style. As he shoots the rocket into the far wall, he jumps onto planter, gets the sprint slide off of it for the curb slide rotate, gets the triple, and then shots. I mean, at this point, you know, well-deserved body shots, hits the fast rotate off the brick in the center, picks up commando here. This curb slide he hits off of Jen. Slightly later, crouch timing, sprints, crouches to launch over to ATM. You got to love how quick he is to find that perimeter, though, right? He knows he's got two teammates already pushing up through driveway. So he's so quick to work with Eco, who's behind him, supporting him from A, and to find that right side perimeter and recreate that pinch once again onto Subway, suffocating OpTic, making it very difficult for them to break out and find angles here.
Change slightly. Can Cloud9 change that narrative once more?
That is the question. Both of these teams also undefeated in this game-type series. Is all tied up. Everything to play for here in the grand finals at the Halo World Championship. Starting things off with Bound.
Interesting to see what the opening strategy is here from Cloud9 as well. Oh!
Nice opening at a bound here. Actually attempting a snap slide off the rip. Doesn't quite hit it, and arguably the trickiest tech in this game. Something you don't see too much of in competitive just yet, but there's also different theories, I think, on how this works, and it's something I got to talk about more in a separate video. My method, personally, I think a big part of this comes down to your left stick angle at the time of your jump versus your left stick angle when you make contact with the ramp. So if I was approaching this, I would jump out with a diagonal left on the left stick at about 10 o'clock or so, and then while I'm in the air, I would shift, while holding forward on that stick, I would shift it out to the right side to about 2 o'clock and hold it like that in midair. So I'm still facing this direction, but my feet, or I guess it's like I'm winding up basically a turn before I hit the ramp, and I would turn the right stick and then time crouch shortly after making contact. There's a precise timing to that, but something to do with that change in left stick angle, almost as if like your feet jump out this way, but you turn in advance, and you're kind of giving yourself a second for your feet to turn and address it, and then timing the crouch when that happens. This is tough to explain. There's a science to that works for me, and I can hit it pretty consistently with that method. Either way, Bound will continue forward. Notice how he turns out left here to level himself out on this ledge and still hit the curb slide into the sniper. As he picks it up, he'll go for another slide out to scoreboard here, shoots Formal. What's wild is Penguin is playing from the back in tower, and Bound calls that, and Penguin gets an angle and actually kills Formal off that damage, which is pretty wild that he pulls it off. And good work at a Bound, too, to recognize Formal backing down, cut the angle, immediately turn to address the key door, and place his reticle. So just hyper aware of, you know, where to be challenged in the situation, lands the flick, no scope, gets out of the fight. Honestly, probably didn't need to rotate this far out, just considering the location of his team here, knowing he probably has the safety staying in this area, at least for now. Kind of rotating out exposed him to an angle, but once again, it's that fast, risky play style at a Bound.
Trippy's still alive though, still putting pressure on. Bound is down to 0 shields. He's barely got any help, but now he has. He comes out dressed in yellow. The overshield goes to C9.
Overshield goes to C9, but it's melted right away. That was a Bound versus Trippy 1v1. Bound wins that off of positioning here. A lot of points on the board here on the second hill for C9. They still control tower, and Bound still with the heat wave.
Trippy goes into distraction though. Bound turns his attention away. Lucid with the repulsor. Will make Bound look a little bit awkward in the way that he gets that kill, but it's enough to get the job done. Now Bound is on the flank, and now he's got the heat wave. He finds one APG. I'm sorry, you go down 2. It's 5 in a row for Bound. He's on a killing spree.
Oh my god, a killing spree from Bound. 3 dead for OpTic Gaming. You have to talk about Bound hitting the repulsor jump at that timing. Actually got him out of the sight line.
Just want to play this up a little earlier to show off C9's teamwork. Here, as Lucid dies, we got OS about to spawn. Numbers advantage for C9. 3 dead on OpTic. Trippy staying alive. Bottom mid. Look how spread out C9 is in this position and how important that is. Penguin on Nest is blocking the B-side spawn just by standing there, and they know it's going to be an A spawn for the enemy. So this wide perimeter is so useful from C9, and as they spawn them in A, you'll see them slowly start to pinch and collapse. They don't turtle up and set up in A. Because they have the numbers, they play with that space on the map to suffocate OpTic, make it very difficult for them to not only get to the hill, but to get any sort of map control whatsoever. Like Stellar's already bottom mid, pressuring from key door. I love the reposition from Stellar here too, to repulse, jump repulse out and join Penguin on the angle. Penguin had rotated from Nest to get to this box here out on A. keep that pressure up. Stellar unfortunately dies. Penguin makes a very smart decision to not wait on Trippy. Doesn't quite know where Trippy is, but I love the reposition. He goes down low in front of the scoreboard. A tricky spot to find him and a great angle to support Bound as they get the kill onto APG. Stop the OS last second. So an excellent save from Trippy. Excellent bank nade, from Penguin. An excellent bank nade out of Trippy. Something to always keep in mind is one of the best ways to deal damage in Infinite is to find good locations to bank nades. And Trippy, this one off the floor to the scoreboard, an excellent way to do damage to start this fight or end this fight in this case. But Bound still gets away with the OS. C9, they come out on top. As Bound rotates out here, you can see OpTic still spawning up in A. C9 doing a great job just anchoring that hill, always having a player back there, refilling the spawns and the advantage. Good positioning at a Bound here too. Crouching, cutting the sightline, bottom mid, isolating one with the doorway while he gets the shields. Doesn't just desperate out to Heatwave. Goes for Heatwave with full health. And as he picks it up, he's going to turn this one into a play here as well, looking for a target. Ends up bumping into, I believe, Formal. Bottom mid, doesn't quite hit the melee. He'll jump land a nice headshot, pick up repulse. Very well-timed jump repulse to actually get through the shoot there. He had to time that pretty precisely out of sprint. Make sure he takes as little damage as possible. Doesn't wait up here top mid. A little reposition actually trips up Trippy and gives him timing with Eco, who's now right beside him as they push up together. He'll keep himself spaced out of melee range here too. You see backs up. Make sure he just hits the shot. Last thing you want is to get traded, to lose your shields. Look at the reticle placement as this man comes out with a menacing look at cuts, right? He's so ready to shoot. There's nobody there, but he's so ready to shoot somebody at cuts even before he comes out the wall. He's got that reticle place. So just that intimate map knowledge to be so ready for a fight, to scope in even before you can see the angle, just knowing what you're looking at, having that memory of the situation. Look at C9 push up here too because they've got the numbers advantage. 3 dead. C9 are rinse and repeating the same thing. Penguin and Stellar coming up to the right side, blocking that B-side spawn, forcing it into A while Bound waits. They're creating a collapse onto A here. Lucid, who's going up off a spawn, tries to shoot Bound through center, but he's getting shot in the back and pushed forward by Penguin. So Bound gets an easy headshot to clean him up. So it's just that constant suffocation out of C9 and their ability to immediately take a perimeter off of this hill cap as well. You'll see Bound cap this. Watch what Stellar does off the cap. Rotates out left side. Look at their positions now, too. It's a perfect pinch and perimeter. Of course, you can't really teach the shot that Stellar pulls off here, but it's the way they push up on the map that's just so effective in creating these collapses, getting these wins and fights.
Counts the most across the map. We're starting things off with Bound. He's positive 19 across the last 2 games.
Big moment for both teams. In this series, if C9...
Another opening strat from Bound. I think the observers might have been keeping an eye on him, but I believe goes for a curb slide. Doesn't quite hit it. 2 nice nades out to Mangler Pit. It looks like this bank nade would land honestly, right where Trippy is, and probably hurt anybody on the staircase there at Mangler as well. So solid nade. The second one, I think, off the door frame into the doorway. Just overwhelmed by OpTic, though. OpTic sent all 4 of their members out to control, so honestly, not too much Bound can do. Had he actually hit this curb slide, he probably would have moved much faster and wouldn't have had time to throw these nades. So not really even sure if he wanted to. This might have just been the strat. In general, I find hitting a slide off this box kind of difficult to do if you just sprint and go for it because of the height of the box and the fact that it doesn't feel perfectly flat. Something about the surface isn't even. It's difficult to time the slide and get it every time. My method, once again, is an edge lineup, and I do it from the back corner of the box, actually. And the convenience of this, if you can get used to it, you can start the launch from an earlier position, so you're freer to do stuff, to shoot and throw nades earlier, and it gives you more time to set up different bank nades, whether you want to hit the doorway down low or the one up above. Kind of a creative and effective way to use slides off an edge lineup without fully committing yourself to the front of the box.
It's Cloud9 in a slender lead at this point, and I have to say, OpTic sounding a little bit flustered at times there.
Yeah, definitely. You even heard it earlier in the series as well. You heard it during that live fire game. Slow things down, slow this down. We are still in control, and C9 is certainly applying the pressure, but only an 8-point game. OpTic will resume scoring now, just down by 5 points.
Just want to point out how ridiculous this one moment is. Bound basically takes the attention of 3 players on OpTic and then lives to tell the tale. He gets the kill on Formal at stacks. Right now, Lucid, APG, and then Trippy behind Lucid. They're all looking at Bound as he drops from bat ledge, lands in battery and crouch, gets behind it, starts jiggle peeking. This baits Lucid into a rotate, Trippy into a nade. He perfectly times a sprint slide to reposition to a different battery, forcing Lucid to expose himself to Penguin's angle, and then dies for it. So just a wild sequence, and so much he did for C9 in that one play. And it's really just all kind of down to feeling. Like, this is a classic moment where If you have cover and your opponent thinks you're compromised, they're going to want to throw a nade. If you can perfectly time your rechow or your reposition with the timing of their nade animation, you can take advantage of them exposed when they're stuck in the nade. So it's just a natural timing. He's not really waiting for anything. He just knows that he has a short period of time to reposition and make things very difficult for OpTic here, and he ends up timing it perfectly, staying alive, giving OpTic, or giving C9 the massive opportunity.
Oh, he knows they are leading by over 30 points. Bound picks up another one as well. That will be the opening kill.
OpTic trapped in tower as well, the last two, and here comes Bound. Doesn't need to be asked twice. Hits the slide to get from A to B as quickly as possible. It's almost a signature of this man at this point, and look at this, they just cannot stop him.
Look at Bound, he's in a 1v2, he's so confident, the assist comes in as well. This is what he's been doing all series long. He's finally positive for the first time in this game, but they are now up 207 to 154.
Reset comes in as well, a triple cap. Here for Cloud9, 214 and rising, even with OpTic inside of B and C. You have to wonder where these kills are going to fall. If it's around B, and it's going to allow Penguin to get the reset, then Cloud9 are going to be feeling good. It's 2 for 2 on the map.
They're even working on C as well here. Take a look here, Camo off bottom middle as well. 225 to 154. This game is slipping away from OpTic Gaming.
Here's a great example of perfect map control in modern Halo. Right now, C9 has an A-B setup, which is typically what you'd want on this map. You've got high ground sight lines to cross out OpTic spawning in C. You have to break out to get back the map. Now, Bound recognizes that Lucid is weak in the sneaky here. He goes for the chase, gets the kill. You'll notice the moment he gets it, Trippy dies shortly after. Right now, it's a 4v2 for C9. Instead of holding position and letting OpTic continue to spawn back in C and maybe regroup with each other, Bound recognizes an opportunity to keep them suffocated by perfectly timing a sprint slide off the box, rotating to back C. This is a beautiful idea. It gives him a pinch behind APG and Formal. He'll shoot them in the back here. Does a great job staying alive by jiggle peeking the wall. And look what it does for Stellar. It gives Stellar, who's an A, an opportunity to pinch and clean these guys up while they're trapped. Now, the biggest thing about this is understanding how this situation affects the spawns. Because Bound rotates, he's now flipping the spawn position to the other side of the map. You'll see Lucid and Trippy spawning up in pipes. They split off two different directions. Lucid going to A, Trippy out to gold. C9 knows this is happening. They're ready to address it. You got Penguin up on gold. I believe he rotates out through B to avoid Trippy get to Lucid. Eco goes up to gold, ends up fighting Trippy. Bounce collecting C. He'll go back to A to join Stellar or pick up off of Stellar, get control of A. Bound knows that while he's doing this, he's opening up the long haul spawns behind him. So what they're doing is they're basically keeping OpTic in pairs of twos. They're not letting them regroup. They're keeping them staggered. They're keeping the numbers advantage. Lucid somehow finesses his way out of A, by the way. He gets to mid-map. Penguin's not going to let him get far, though. He actually times a perfect slide off the box here for a fast rotate. Straight to B behind Lucid. Goes in to trade the kill. By doing this, he's going to get shot at from the spawners up in long haul. He's getting shot in the back by Formal and APG, but he knows that, and Bound knows that as well. Bound, while this is happening, is flanking through from A through control behind the spawners on OpTic. There he is. He gets behind them, cleans them up. So they're constantly keeping them suffocated just off of awareness with spawn. It's a fluid process. It's not just about holding down positions in maps. It's about recognizing your numbers advantage and capitalizing on it and understanding what that does to the spawns so you stay in control.
That crazy comeback in the last few moments against Native Red. Native Red have had an influence on both the teams in this game, positively and negatively. But speaking of positive and negative, there's one man who's only in the positive. You can see
another Bound opening strat. Man's the center of attention all 4 games, and a very fast strat here too. You can see he's coming off a curb slide off the platform. On his left-hand side, you sprint, time the crouch off it, very fast slide. You can skip the clamber right to bridge. You can tell he's done this strat many times before as well, just by the placement of his nades as he slides in. Watch his reticle. He is so ready to throw this nade even before the reticle comes around the wall. So he perfectly times it the moment he's in view and then gets it straight to the jump up ledge. So just something to take note of. These nades off the opening strats are always so important. And if you can be very confident, very early with that throw, there's a good chance you can do damage to somebody, in this case coming to jump up. Nobody on OpTic goes to the jump up ledge, so it doesn't quite work out. He'll fire shots over to Lucid. One good thing about this too is having intimate understanding of his teammates' angles. He knows that Eco is shooting at Lucid here. He does not need to waste time waiting for Lucid to re-peek in this situation. As he walks forward, he surveys for another player, ends up spotting APG, goes out in a trade. Solid opening strat overall. What's interesting is you can see C9 send 2 players through pink all the way to yellow to flank and kill Lucid while Eco hangs back in the window. Typically in this map, you have 1 player hang back in the window to cross out. Got a great, opportunity to get kills to do it, though Formal gets away with the camo. Despite the numbers advantage for C9, this camo pays dividends for Formal.
1 kill lead for Cloud9, however, Formal with the play call.
Pick one, kill me. Formal's pick one. Formal's pick one's in. Dead.
I'm getting to the, yo, there's a guy on my flag.
Yeah, could be on Zane.
Watch out, yellow flag on the floor.
Watch that yellow, yeah.
Absolute panda.
I'm actually one trying to kill me. One
I think you're
trying to
gonna
kill me.
die.
Okay,
I'm good.
Getting out to blue P.
Getting out to shot.
Shocks are up now. I'm going yellow
I have
closet.
shocks.
I'm looking yellow closet. Trying to cross down. Shrooms. Watch the shrooms. Listen. 2 yellow flag.
One's yellow fridge.
Yeah, 2 yellow flag. 2 yellow
I'm here
flag.
above you, Brayden. Tell me if they cross. Can you tell me if they cross?
Nice kill.
Nice. Yeah, 2 yellow flag.
Yo, I'm going for 2.
2 yellow flag.
I'm shocking their base.
Okay, look at window.
Watch the flag.
One's in the fridge. Okay,
They're in there. They're four. Lucid weak. Lucid's weak.
Oh, 2 in fridge, 1 P tunnel. I'll look at P tunnel. P1. P tunnel. Tip the commando. Shrooms. Shrooms, front base, front yellow.
Watch out for him.
He's on your
We never killed anyone.
There's 2, there's 2.
Pick one, I believe.
I got one.
Two there.
Yo, keep playing together. He's on the going fire. Both went fire. Both went courier.
Anyway.
Front base, one shot. APD, brick.
I kill him.
On Nate, they have shocks.
I'm looking card.
I'm aiming it.
Top mid.
I'm dead.
Yellow card down. Watch out your closet.
Yellow engine weak.
One shot on the pistol. One shot on the pistol.
Yeah.
He waved down and then
Just spawn there.
Spawn out.
Camo 20
Top
seconds.
yellow base. Top yellow window. Yellow window formal.
Out of the comms and into the gunfire. It's 36-30 now. C9 up by 6. Every kill is massive at this point. And with Stella,
Last listen in here with C9 on board with Bound. He'll snap and kill Formal, trying to work with Stellar out front yellow. Gets some unfortunate timing here. He's looking for the rotate, and he looks away from Lucid. He could have cleaned up that one shot, no problem, but his timing on the rotate kind of screwed him over. He missed the shot. Finds himself kind of compromised here, right? Lucid's one shot back yellow. Doesn't want to desperate the kill. Recognize he's separate from the rest of his team. There's no angles that can help him in this situation. So good decision-making from Bound to listen and recognize a player is up on pink above him and get out of this situation as quickly as possible. Try to regroup with C9. You'll notice at the same time, OpTic go back and regroup together as well. So it becomes a bit of a 4v4 standoff. You got OpTic on yellow side, Bound trying to play bottom mid. The biggest thing to pay attention to if you're Bound in this situation is how much he repositions to try to change his angle and play around the team here. He's never staying in one spot. He's always trying to find a new point of attack, trying to make himself a tricky target to kill and do as much damage as he can here. In the meantime, while he's doing this, Penguin actually makes a huge play. By the way, we don't get to see it. He gets a 1v1 win with Trippy on the right-hand side, and he'll rotate up to top mid. Ends up providing support for Eco and Bound here as Bound's jumping back, trying to get the bottom mid. Nice shots into Formal, but just a tough situation to stay alive. Enough damage for Penguin to clean it up, though. Stellar rotating into base while he's got the sightline support here. He goes for the curb slide off the ledge. Lucid ices up, completely destroys him. Can't even get the melee. Just really great shots out of Lucid. That's a, vertical heat wave. 2-shot kill, so he didn't miss a beat here. And this moment, really interesting example of the spawn system in Halo Infinite. In general, the spawn system in this game tries to spawn your teammate in a complementary perimeter to where the other teammates are on the map, basically. And this situation is so interesting because Lucid, because he's in yellow base, he's blocking yellow, so Bound can't spawn there. You've got Eco and Penguin pushing up on yellow fridge, which is taking influence away. And what it does is it spawns Formal in that complementary perimeter in blue fridge is what it decides is the right place to spawn him. And then it spawns Bound in blue because Lucid is blocking yellow. So it creates a really weird kind of spawn situation that Formal's just not ready for and probably can't predict. Bound finds himself in a perfect flank just off the spawn system in these circumstances here. Really nice use of the nade and the slide. Note that every single ramp that you slide on in this game has a sweet spot location near the top. If you time your slide near the top of every ramp, you get a bigger boost. And Bound combines that with a nade. So he's got speed plus a nade toss, a bank nade in this case, at the same time. And you always want to try to throw nades if your opponent doesn't see you yet. Take advantage of the free damage you can do with it, even though he doesn't quite land it. That's a clean kill. Looking for APG, another bank nade up top, going to drop down below. Bound's awareness and the team communication here is so important, so on point as they make this push. Notice he spots Stellar before he comes down, picks up the heat wave. He knows he's above him. He knows he's got that help at the angle. Stellar puts damage into APG. He gets up close and personal, cleans him up. Spawners on C9, they're coming up, going through car side. You got Eco coming through car. He says, I'm aping it, which in Halo terms is he's just holding forward. He's going to try to get a kill here, and Bound's going to work off that distraction to get the flank onto Formal. Had he hit that first shot, this would have been so beautifully timed. It slowed his approach just a little bit So when he came into this angle with Trippy, he just wasn't quite ready for it. Maybe if he jiggle peeked the wall or something, he's just going in, holding forward. Penguin's awareness in the situation, though, so great because he recognizes they're at a numbers disadvantage, picks up the thrust as he flies out to car 1, and then immediately says, I'm getting out of here. He backs out, noticing that he's just in a compromised spot. He can reset, work with the team now spawned up, and play off their angles, play off a Stellar. Really great clamber and jump off the jump up here, too. Honestly, smart movement out of Penguin. He delays his clamber till right here, which completely cuts the angle during the clamber animation and just saves him from taking first shot in a fight, basically. I just thought that was really beautiful positioning. It's the subtle things, you know, in games like this, or moments like this, I think, that matter. For now, I'm going to end things here. I think that was quite a look at the first series of grand finals of the Halo World Championship. One hell of a finals it was. I don't think anybody expected C9 to come out with that much heat in the first series, and then to see Bound as kind of the focal point of that being his rookie year, his first year on LAN. Definitely a big statement. In the end, what does it take to be a top player? What does it take to be, you know, a rookie of the year? Clearly, it takes a lot of things, you know, like even this video only covers a very small slice of, you know, what he and the team puts together, but it's very clear that Bound has a mastery in many categories when it comes to mechanics and accuracy and game sense and team communication and, you know, working around his teammates. Bound, as far as I'm aware, he's a bumper jumper player. He plays on a Battle Beaver controller. I believe he plays with Claw. I play on Battle Beaver too. I know that Bound uses hair triggers, I'm pretty sure, smart triggers, which are these. They're clicky. It's a button for a trigger, so he gets a slightly faster response time when he fires a shot. I don't personally enjoy these. I like the full trigger pull, but Battle Beaver controllers I swear by in general. If you want to check those out, all the details are in my description. You can use code Shyway for 10% off a Battle Beaver of your own. In the end of the day, the equipment isn't going to make the player, though. I think obviously it's the time in for Bound specifically. If I know his come up through Halo 5, one thing I think he does very well on top of just being a very confident player is he takes a lot of risks. He was very well known for being like a ones king, basically. Like he would money match ones, money match twos, money match fours, put himself into high stakes, kind of high pressure situations and confront that with confidence. So, you know, matchmaking will get you so far, but I would say if you can somehow get yourself into those types of lobbies and, you know, high stakes, high pressure situations where you're taking risks and, you know, forcing yourself to step up to the challenge, I think that's a great way to develop a play style like Bound. So maybe give it a shot. Either way, hopefully at least you appreciate this in-depth look at some high-level Halo, and it only gets better, right? That Grand Final series, we see the biggest regain I think I've ever seen in Halo esports out of OpTic. I got to find some time to break that down as well. There's so much we can cover from this tournament, but for now, that's all I got. If you guys like this stuff, you know what to do. Make sure to sub, make sure to like, check out my other content. I'll see you again next time.